kind of got distracted with tax deeds a little bit here lately.
There's a lot worse distractions out there than tax deeds.
Right.
You know, some people find their distraction at the bottom of a bottle or, you know, something else. So tax deeds is a pretty good distraction.
You're renting out your dream home so that you can acquire more. You're doing some neat stuff. You think you're better than me?
No, I don't. In fact, I know I'm not. And we say it on here all the time. It's amazing what 10 years of good real estate decisions will do. Take that further, you know, Scotty's older in dirt. It's amazing what, 50 years of good real estate decisions.
76 this year.
Hey everybody, you're kicking it with the Homeboys and the Homeboys podcast. Do we have a special episode for you today? We are always talking about getting started in real estate, taking your first steps, and how do you do that? Well, today we've got some friends of the show. They love listening to the Homeboys, and we love that they love listening to the Homeboys. We are talking with Katie and Seth Wood, and we're very honored to have them. We're going to talk about their real estate journey. We have Katie here in the studio with us, and Seth is actually helping aid in the relief efforts in Florida. So we've got him via Skype, but as always, I'm here with my buddy, Scotty Adams. What up?
Life is good. Got to spend last night with the kids and feeling recharged and ready to do this. I'm excited about this episode.
I'm very excited. This is awesome. This is cool.
I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation, especially for folks who are wanting to get into real estate or just got into it, because I think Seth and Katie are a great example of the hardest part of getting into investment real estate, which is doing it, your first one.
Yes.
They're a great example of stepping up and making that dive, regardless of whatever situation you're in.
Yep.
They weren't just sitting on piles and piles of cash, but they found a way to make it happen, and that's always the hardest step, and they've done it. So this should be a very interesting conversation. I hope that anyone who hasn't done real estate and is interested pays close attention to their story, because we want to shine a light on them, because what they're doing is pretty special.
Amen. That's well said.
Thank you.
Katie, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
It's great to have you. I'm doing great. We had a little conversation before we got started today. You've got a 2-year-old at home. We were sharing horror stories of the joys of having young kids.
And just look at Seth's face too.
Yeah.
He can totally vouch for it too. He's like, we love him. We love him. We say that a lot.
And Seth, you don't know this. Me and your wife shared some commonalities with. I've got a 3-year-old that broke her foot last Thursday, which is pretty par for the course. And then, your wife explained that there's other people out there that are going through some of the same challenges as me. So,
oh man, it's every time we think we get a break, something comes out of left field. I'm telling you.
I know it, my friend. I get it.
We know life happens and stuff. It's just like, come on.
The joys
right before
the joys of having kids, and here Scotty is. He's an empty nester. So he's
an empty nester that went to go see them. I don't know. I don't think he's handling it very well.
It's great. It's fun. It's like the best of all worlds, because they're still in your life. They go to school fairly close. It's about an hour from my house, but from our different offices, we have offices in different parts of the state. From one of our offices, it's only 30 minutes, and that's the office I was at. So it's like I get to run and have dinner on a college campus with good food with my kids, and then go home and do whatever I want with no responsibilities. So
I think I hate you right now.
I think I hate him right now.
You'll get there.
So not fair.
You'll get there.
One day.
I'll trade you guys bills if you want. College is not cheap.
He's right on that one. I think that's why we're doing this, so we can even have a chance at sending both of them.
I'm very blessed, and it's because of real estate that I don't have any stress at all about sending my kids through college, and it's 100% because of decisions I made when my kids were younger, like you guys are making now, that by the time your kids are in college, if you do this right, and there will be bumps along the way, there just is in real estate, but it should set you up for a very great time, because for a lot of folks out there, when your kids go off to college, it's a stressful time, or your kids just have to take on all the student debt and all of these other things. And doing real estate like you are doing at the age your kids are, you should set yourselves up for a pretty smooth ride when they go off to college, where you can live that dream.
Right.
You know, it's so I'm blessed by that part.
Well, let's dive into it. We're first gonna talk about how we met and how we got to know one another, and Scotty and I are excited about that. So let's dive in.
Yeah. So Katie alone, because her husband's on storm or somewhere. I think it was a January when I was on TikTok, kind of scrolling. That's what we do on TikTok, right? Right. And then I saw you guys. I saw Clint, and he was talking about the water bills. And I was like, what? These guys are kind of funny. So then I watched I think you only had like 5 videos at the time when I started following you. So I just loved what you guys were saying. You were very conservative. You made me feel safe to want to listen more. So then I went to the podcast, and I didn't even have it on my phone. Like, I had to download the podcast app. And so I got you guys on there and, just deep dived. I think you had 10 or 11 episodes at the time. And I mean, every single word. Yeah. I knew them all.
We're pretty late to the social media game.
But now,
but I'm like, but now we've blown up a little bit. But we were so focused on doing real estate for ourselves and for our clients, and we're in a unique position where we kind of have a waiting list for a lot of our properties and what we do. And we've got significant businesses here that we're focused on. And so we were a little late to the social media game, because a lot of the people that jumped on in real estate were out there trying to sell something. And we didn't really have anything to sell other than our advice and our stories.
Right.
And so once we decided to do it and we found out that we enjoyed it, we realized there's a niche out there, because everyone on these social medias is trying to sell a product or an idea.
Yes.
And we just want to share stories and how people can find success in real estate. So we were a little late to it, and we're very proud of the quick following that we've gotten, and getting to meet folks like you guys.
I was really happy. Like I was telling Seth when I started this journey on, okay, we've got to do something different. My husband's not happy. Yeah. We're a little over leveraged, all this stuff. I've got to take it upon myself and do a lot of research. And it's like, I would listen to somebody and I'm like, that sounds crazy. That sounds nuts. No, I'm not going to over leverage, and pull this out and do this. And I was like, or there's other ways that they weren't so aggressive, but it wasn't making sense to me either. So when I came across you guys, I was like, this is going to be my niche. Like, I'll listen to these two, but nobody else.
Yeah, it's scary. The aggressive nature of what's popular on social media.
But it's all wrong too.
It's wrong.
It's so wrong.
It's risky. It's incredibly risky. It can work in an up market when everything goes right.
Yes.
It can.
Yes.
And you can make a lot of money doing it. But that's not how real estate works.
No.
I think part of it is living through a downturn. Like Scott had been in real estate
since 98, so 10 years.
10 years, going into the Great Recession. I was 7 years going into the Great Recession. We learned a lot of lessons through that, and there's a lot of the social media audience that have never been through a cycle like that. And a lot of the people that are teaching giving the advice have not been through a cycle like that. So they're talking about this elevator ride that's been going up for the last 14 years and not been through a downturn. We're starting to see that a little bit. So,
which is scary, I know, but I've been listening to you two, so
You can make
I'm
it
not,
through it.
I'm not so scared, anymore.
You shouldn't be. You guys are focused on something that is what has built the foundation of everything Clint and I do, which is long-term cash flowing assets.
Yes.
And you're not trying to make a quick buck. And don't get me wrong. I mean, you'll take any upside that you get on your investments. We all will. But at the end of the day, you're looking at the core value of properties and building cash flow. It's a beautiful way to do it, and anyone can do it, and you guys are proof of that. We just had one of our bankers just stop by, and he manages about, I believe it's $1 billion. I think it's about $1 billion of assets. So he's a large banker, and he was telling me that right now, even with all the jitters in the market, that all of his big money clients are buying up assets like crazy, even borrowing to do it, because, during inflationary times, in theory, assets should go up, along with inflation. And so even at 7% interest rates, if your assets go up by the inflationary numbers of 9 to 11%, you're still making positive money. Now, we're pretty conservative, so we don't say go out and borrow and do that.
Right.
But I just found that interesting that the big money is out there adding assets right now, despite all of that.
right. Well, Seth, I want to bring you in. So, tell us, like, how where's your mindset been in this? How does it feel to get started in real estate? Where's your mind at the moment?
I'm really happy that finally pulled the trigger and listen to my wife.
Happy wife, happy life, right?
Happy wife, happy life.
I try to tell them.
It's something I've always had in the back of my mind wanting to do since I bought my first house in 2005. And I didn't know what I was doing. And I did like a 2-year interest only loan. I said, I'm a liquor, I'll flip it. And it's close to work. I said, I'm going to stay here, refinance. And 5-6 years later, I owed $5,000 more than I paid for. I paid like $93,500 for it. And finally got smart about it, set up a bi-monthly payment, paid it down, and then I was going to move to North Florida, and the house was only worth what I owed on it. It's going to cost me money to sell this house, so I did a deed in lieu of foreclosure. And had I known what I know now, I'd probably own that house outright. And I looked it up today on Zillow. It's worth like $216,000 for 1,700 square foot house.
Right.
Yeah, he sent me that picture. I was like,
yeah, imagine had you turned it into a rental to cover your payment,
Yeah,
and then be paid down.
I could have been cash flowing on that for the last 10 years.
Yeah, and and you'd only owe $50,000 at this point too, because the tenant would have paid down your mortgage for you.
Yeah, I didn't know, and
Well, that's a common.
That's a very. At that time, it takes a long time to figure that stuff out. Sometimes on your own.
That's a very common mistake, though. We talked about it on here not too long ago. I'm in my 13th personal home since 2001, and I've sold all of them. And if I went back and did the math like you did, Seth, and I don't recommend people do that because the windshield's a heck of a lot bigger than the rearview mirror. You don't want to go backwards and say, oh, well, I should have did this, should have did that. But I could say the same thing. I mean, there's one in particular that we talked about on the show that I bought for $40,000 and put $150 in it. I sold it for $460, I think. But today it's worth $1 million. And oh my god,
$1 million asset.
What was that? But I get it.
I'm not kicking myself. Whereas learn lessons, like you guys say, all lessons you learned the hard way. And now the house that when we found our dream home, basically, and I was still working on the road. I mean, we're in California, went to New York, all over the country, traveling for work. And we'd come home. I finally came off the road, came home, and we looked at how good the market was doing. Started talking about we could make some money on equity in this house, and we were this close to selling. And we had one little hookup in the deal, and it made us stop and say, what? All this equity in this house worth a lot more than the cash, I think. And so that we turned that into our first rental.
Mm-hmm. It's great. And I want to cover this point, which is, again, you weren't just sitting on mountains of cash. You know, you weren't just looking to add a rental. You wanted to get into the rental business, and your entry into it was to turn your literal dream home into a rental.
Yeah.
That was your
so
that
that
was
we
your
didn't
way
have
in.
to sell it.
Correct.
You know, I did not. I was very against selling the house, but we have definitely come together very much since that happened.
Since you made the decision and he agreed with you.
Yeah.
And I've done pretty physical manual labor my whole career, and I was looking to find something. I was excited to find something where I can start creating passive income. And look at these guys that are 65 and they're broke down. They can't enjoy their retirement. I didn't want to be there.
Very understandable. Very understandable. And this is a path that people can take at any age. It's never too late. You guys are still so young that you've got all this time to build up a portfolio of cash flowing assets and passive income, and make a piece of property literally work for you. It's like a person out there generating income almost. It's an amazing concept.
Yes.
It's an amazing concept. And, it's known that you can make your money work for you. You put in the stock market and you try to get returns, and your money's earning you money. But people don't think about the concept of real estate as closely with that. And the beauty of real estate is there's a lot of ways into it. You don't have to have mountains of cash. You can turn your first home into a rental and then move.
That was my deal. I was so anxious when he came home and he wasn't happy, and I'm struggling with how to pay the bills. We definitely messed up. We were overextended. That's all there is to it. Right. It happens to the best of us, but won't happen again. So I was listening to that one podcast that you guys did, and you go, unknowingly, how I got into rental business was when you were flipping houses and everything, and then you were like, well, all of my for sale signs are going to have to be for rent signs because the crash had happened and you were lucky to get out and everything. So, but then you got into the business and you just started seeing it was so much more lucrative.
Yeah, I think that it's really attractive for people to watch Flip This House or some of these,
it's so much fun.
And it is. And, I mean, in a lot of ways, I'm still that guy at heart. That's how I started my career.
You are.
I don't know. I like a lot of what Scotty and I do is just so monotonous and repetitive and boring, and everything looks the same, and it's just over and over. And it gets kind of boring. But whenever back in my flipping days, it was each house was unique, and TV has really blown that up.
Yeah.
But that's a quick pocket, of income that comes in, and here in Indiana, people get, skewed by watching those shows because they think, oh my gosh, if I could do this, I could make, $200,000 on a house. And that's not reality here in Indiana. I mean, you're looking at, maybe 10 to 30 being kind of the median point of what you could net out of a flip here in Indiana. And I know every market is different, but then you look at, had you held a lot of those, I was making, let's just say on average, $20,000 a house when you net everything else. But you look at the tax savings, that a person, would have had, and depreciation, paying down of the mortgage, and seeing what a person would have had I just held on to it.
Yeah, we broke down.
It's crazy.
We've broken down a few client properties that they've owned for 10 years from us, and it's kind of shocking to see. Sure, if they flipped it, they could have made say 20, 30,000. But then when you see what they've paid, the tenant has paid their mortgage down to, you see what the property is worth now, plus all of the cash flow they've had over that period, and it's literally like 40 times more income from that property than had they flipped it.
Exactly. And that was, you two were in my head the whole entire time while we were selling the house, because I was like, the reason we could sell the house is to just go and start buying rental properties immediately and invest that cash. But when it did a hiccup, and I really did, I put the kibosh on it. I was like, we have a beautiful home in a beautiful neighborhood. This is not like, what you call a turd or anything like that. Yeah. This is a gorgeous house. It's going to make us money, and they're going to pay it. They're going to pay it for us.
Right.
And so everybody, his parents and our realtor, they were like, you're really messing up.
You're screwing up. You're making mistakes.
You're making mistakes.
Really? Everyone was?
Everyone was against us.
Wow.
They were like, we can't, we can't in good conscience just think that this is going to be, good for you guys. And I'm like, well, then blame it on me. So
we were told houses that have had rentals don't resell very well.
That might be slightly true. But
I'm like this house, I know for a fact, the house that we own has had renters in it before us.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we still bought it.
There's such a stigma.
It was our dream house.
There's such a stigma out there about keeping a property and turning it into a rental. There's a stigma against being a landlord. It's really odd.
It is.
Because it's a great way to make a living. There's a lot of people who need your type of dream home to rent, who for whatever situational reason don't want to buy, but want a dream home with a pool in the backyard like you guys have.
I know. She's got five babies too.
Right.
All boys. Mm-hmm. So she needs that yard out there to let them loose,
It's fulfilling a need. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I kudos to you guys in the face of headwinds against you and everybody telling you no and that you're wrong to have done it. And
see, I told you.
And we're doing the research. It's not like we're just flying by the seat of our pants here. Like
sure.
My wife is a hound dog when it comes to this stuff. She will sniff out anything that doesn't smell right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you have some experience too with real estate going bad and looking back at it. So you guys had a core knowledge to make these decisions on too, which is interesting. That you've been on a few sides of this coin. Again, kudos to you. And you could always sell your property and use that cash to go out and acquire more rentals. And sometimes that could be the best option for someone. But there's something about you already own that property.
I'm already in it.
You're already there.
I don't have
the work's done.
The work's done.
At the best rate.
Yeah.
I would have been, now that I see the rates and how much they're climbing, which, like you said, never should have been at 4. Right. I think it's never what caused everything.
Well, never should have been at 2.
2,
never should have went below 4.
It caused a lot of crazy. And, but we're there. We're at 3.
Nevertheless, we have that rate.
You have it. Yeah, you don't want to sell a 2 to 4% house. You don't want to sell them. You don't want to sell it. Correct. Now more than ever, I hope people hear this message. If you need to move right now, do not sell your 2 or 4% house if you can turn it into a rental.
I will rent it for you. I will come over and tell you. And when you're crying in the kitchen because you don't know, like I was.
Yep. We joke about that though. It's bananas how people can't get out of their own way. And I'm leaving recording here, and I'm going to show houses, which I'm normally not like a normal realtor, but it's my best friend in the world, and him and his wife just got married, and they're looking for houses. And I've mentioned that about their house just right down the street from the office, about a mile away from us right now. Yeah. And hold on to that, man. Like, okay, I think we're going to sell and then put the money into the other house. Like, dude, I mean, come on.
It's easier. It's what people have done. So it's the natural
process
for people, even though it's not the right decision and usually the best decision for folks, especially right now. It's not. Mm-mm. And so people don't want to consider it, and then they think of all of the headaches that can come with it. Plus, there's a lot of people out there who say, I have to sell my current house because I need the money as a down payment for my next house. But you guys overcame that. You're saving up again for your next down payment. Mm-hmm. You guys are renting currently.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're renting.
Yeah.
We have, our rent right now with everything covered is, I think the last we paid was what, $1,300?
Yeah.
$1,300.
For everything, light bills, cable, all of that.
So you're renting and saving. and you left your equity in that property, and you're going to just keep going and keep going. Right.
Yeah.
It's so easy for someone who owns a house to not sell that house. There are ways around it.
Yes.
There are ways. And the great part is when you're buying a owner occupant house, there's a lot of loan programs out there too, where you don't need all the equity out of your old house, where you can have a smaller down payment. You know, there's FHA loans and all kinds of loans like that, where you might not have to sell your house to get your next house. And so again, you've got a built-in rental there.
Oh, we love it.
Am I saying it's easy? No. You're making some sacrifices and you're doing some work on this. You're spending time and effort analyzing it, thinking about it, but you've done it. And I think you are a great example for folks out there that need to hear this, because they can build financial freedom this way. They simply can have financial freedom by doing this simple step.
It was a simple step. We didn't know.
It's just a lack of education out there on this.
Sure.
You know?
Well, there's a lot.
You have to actually do a little looking to find it, but it's out there
for sure.
You just have to do a little digging. Guys like you, putting it out there.
Yeah, there's a lack of financial literacy going on in our country that's mind blowing. Scotty and I talk about it all the time. It's just it just doesn't make any sense. And I think it's because, to your point, Seth, I think it's because of the sexiness of more, and leverage. It's just I don't know why people get on that bandwagon, but we say it on here all the time. It's amazing what 10 years of good real estate decisions will do. It's amazing. And to take that further, Scotty's older in dirt. It's amazing what 50 years of good real estate decisions have done.
76 this year.
Have done. But anyhow, for Scotty and I, it is it's that 10 years has then turned into 20 years, each, and it doesn't have to be this sprint that all these gurus out there want to tell you that it has to be. It's insane. It's stupid.
Would literally show him like some of these gurus, or he would come to me with some of the people that he would follow. I won't say any names.
Sure, whatever.
And I would look at that and I'd be like, absolutely not. That's trash.
Yeah.
That's trash. Don't listen to them.
It's because
don't listen to them, baby. Yeah. And he was like, okay, it's just the Homeboys. I get it. And I'm like, yeah, it's the Bible. Okay, there are Homeboys Bible.
I'll call it out. I call out Grant Cardone on here all the time.
Oh,
he drives me bananas. And he's like one of the biggest ones. He's and it drives me nuts because he'll have people at his conferences that are people that I like and admire, like Kevin Hart. I've seen him.
Yeah.
Speak at the Cardones. Whatever it is out in Vegas. But he actually we did a TikTok clip on where he was saying it's not about quality of deals, it's just about number.
Yeah, there's a lot of things.
Just, he's more of a salesman now than anything.
Correct. That's how he's made his money.
Yeah.
People need to understand that most of these gurus, and we know a lot of them personally. We don't know Grant Cardone personally, but we know we were on a speaking circuit for a really long time, so we got to meet a lot of these gurus and speak, on their shows. But they haven't made their money doing what they're talking about. They've made their money by talking about what they're talking about. It's unbelievable.
Right.
They genuinely are not experts in the field, which good for them. They're charismatic and they can build a following.
Charming.
They're charming, but
funny.
But their advice is really dangerous for the normal person. Their advice works for multimillionaires like themselves.
Good looking,
yeah, better looking, tall.
Spend $10,000 and come to my revival.
That's correct.
That's right.
Like, yeah. Oh yeah, sure.
Full head of hair.
Right.
Full head of hair.
Are you just naming things why they're all better than me? You think you're better than me?
No, I don't. In fact, I know I'm not.
It's a racket though out there, and that's what sells. Is the sad thing, boring. True kind of slow wealth building advice, it doesn't resonate with a lot of young folks, and it's sad, and we hope that advice like what we focus on starts to spread out there more. I'd love for more people to follow us and see what we're saying, but just as importantly, I hope more people like us start putting out podcasts and doing these things, because this advice needs to be told out there. There is a lack of financial education in this country. We don't teach kids how to even balance a checkbook. We don't teach them how a mortgage works. We don't teach them anything about money. We don't teach them how savings works. We don't teach them how compounding interest works. We don't teach them how real estate works. And they graduate college, they go get these jobs, and they have to learn it from TikTok and YouTube.
Yeah. It's
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but I'm just happy that there is something there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what was it before? Let's go have a really uncomfortable conversation with Grandpa.
Correct.
Because that's what mine was.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's like, how did you
funny.
not know this?
It's part of the...
How did you not know that? And I'm like, I don't know. You pretty much told me to shut up and sit down my whole life. So.
Well, you got to understand, that's part of why the rich have stayed rich and the poor haven't been poor. Because the rich teach their kids this stuff.
Right.
You know, this is passed on generation to generation within the wealthy communities. It is. I've seen it. I grew up in one of the wealthiest counties in the United States as a teacher's kid with no money myself, but I learned this from from my friends' wealthy parents. I was very blessed to have a multi-billionaire help advise me from a very young age, and I still quote his advice all the time. And he taught me a lot of this, and these are like the secrets of the ultra wealthy these are the conversations wealthy people have behind the scenes with their families,
literally,
and none of us do. None of the normal people do. So you know, this is something that we want to spread, and again, we think you guys are an awesome example of taking that dive, but in a conservative manner and in an easy manner, and not falling for the tricks and the excitement of get rich now.
Oh, we were so scared, but you guys really gave me the courage. You did.
Well, you know, I think my dad always, you know, he always used to say, you know, son, it's always better to be a little nervous and scared. You know, if you're not a little nervous and scared, then you get all loosey-goosey and throwing money around, and, you know, you make mistakes. I mean, Scotty and I just broke ground last week on a 26, 20.
I think it's 29, but that includes the commercial building.
$29 million project in northern Indiana. Hell yeah, man! I'm nervous about it.
Right?
I mean, how the heck could I not
Scared
be?
to death.
You know, like, I mean, it's a lot. You know, it's a lot of logistics. It's a lot of money. It's you know, time. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think that ever goes away. But I think it's good to kind of keep that nervous edge about a person, because it keeps you focused.
It really does. I mean, we're about to close on, you know, a property in Arkansas, because I was like down, you know, went to Arkansas, took y'all's advice, because if you're going to get out somewhere, you know, don't just trust Zillow, don't just trust this, like, get boots on the ground, go and do your research and everything. And, you know, we literally bought the worst house in the best neighborhood, though.
It's awesome.
That's the way to do it.
It was, I mean, you walk into this neighborhood and, you know, I'm filming it.
Wait, back up. Say it again.
We bought the worst house in the best neighborhood.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
I know. And it's going to need work. It's going to need everything. But
of course,
the neighborhood, gorgeous. I could not ask for a better neighborhood. I was
awesome.
like, oh. So we're very excited about that. Closing, hopefully October 28th. And that will be our second property.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yep. Stabilize it. Get that cash flow coming in.
But it's not like we're, you know, yes.
No, I think you're at a very comfortable pace there.
Yes.
I think that's, I think you guys are moving at the right pace for yourselves. Everyone's pace is a little different, but you're not just loading up on properties because you discovered this online. No, you're making strong, calculated decisions one at a time. You know, stabilizing those, getting them rented, and then looking again.
Yes.
There's 20 years behind the preparation of doing this. Really, I mean,
that's true.
Now we're actually doing it.
Yeah. Right.
For me, anyway.
Sure.
I'm not speaking for my wife's age. But.
Yeah. Started doing it when you were 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years. 22 now. You know, yeah. Well, we like to follow your Arkansas property, so make sure that you give us some information. And
I've got it all for you guys. I actually have a whole video that I wanted to send. in with you guys and editing. Gosh, that's what you do. I need a Bryce.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're very blessed. We're very blessed.
I need a Bryce because I'm on here and my oldest son, he's like, Mom, you can't do it like that. Now, but he's teaching me, and
I tell him all the time, it's like literal magic to me. Like
it is though. I am on there just cussing up a storm at this computer screen.
Yeah.
And I just have no patience for it. I'm like, you do it.
Right.
Plus, you have a 2-year-old trying to climb your leg while you're doing it.
That's right. It's hard. Yeah. But, that's really exciting. Like I said, we want to follow the Arkansas property, so please make sure you send that in. But
I
I
want
also
to follow your journey in general.
For sure.
I think you guys, as long as you don't mind a little spotlight on you from time to time, we'd like to bring you back and show off where you are in this step, because I think it's really valuable for folks.
To show people doing it.
Yeah.
Literally
doing it.
Actively
the
doing
conservative way, but actually building true wealth.
Yes.
And then we want to finish the series on your yacht, sailing in the sunset with you.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. That's going to be the end goal.
I started a Facebook page.
Yes.
I'm going to try and keep updated. I don't have a whole lot on there yet. I'm trying to get people to join. I call it Raising Kids and Building Empires.
Okay.
On Facebook. So
we'll put a link in the description here on like the YouTube and some of the other places, and we'll try to flash it on the screen. And
I've been trying to, as we're starting to accomplish stuff with this, posting little posts and trying to get other people that are interested in like-minded stuff to share.
Well,
it's early. It's early, so I haven't had a whole lot yet,
But we always hear we have kids, or we have, baseball, or, homework, and we're all right there in the same boat with you.
Right.
we want to show it can be done.
It can be done.
Kids.
And we can also help other families and do stuff, because the village is not really there, not like it used to be.
I think it's so neat you guys are starting when you are at the beginning of it, because that's some of the pushback that Clint and I get, is people think that we just started with all this wealth. I wish we could show them that we were two broke kids who just did this.
I had nothing. Literally nothing.
Nothing. I was helping support one of my family members on my minimum wage stuff. So we started with nothing and built this, and so I think it's neat that we'll be able to highlight. I'm so glad you're starting now.
Well, talking about raising kids, I mean, what are your kids? You have to set an example for them. What do you want them to see? You want them to see you sitting on your behind and doing nothing, or do you want to see them, getting out there and creating their own path and doing their thing? It's important.
I tried explaining something to Maddox. I was like, well, in math on just these rates, and he goes, Mom, I know what a mortgage rate is. And I was like,
nice.
I was like, oh, so you are listening. He was.
And you said he's 14, right?
Yeah, 14.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I am not.
I didn't know at 14.
We're gonna keep this cycle going. You're not gonna graduate from my house with no real education.
I didn't know at 20.
Yeah.
And I was in business school at one of the best business schools around. I didn't know.
I had a weird childhood, so I knew that stuff because I had to, but yeah.
But you're a lot smarter than I am.
No, yeah, it's not smart. And I had big cojones in college and just did stupid stuff and went out and would buy tax liens and learn stuff the hard way.
I can confirm that you had a set of brass balls.
Yeah.
It was pretty remarkable.
I wasn't scared of anything. So I think that's a neat topic to just touch on again, which is that you're teaching your family these things. Yes. And your kids are going to have a step up over other kids. So think of it that way, too. If you have a family, this isn't about just taking time away from them to go make your money. You can do this with your family. It's a great way you guys are doing this. Mm-hmm. You're using it as a family thing.
Right. I mean, I could talk about me and him when we get off work and, are in the bedroom and stuff like that. All we talk about is real estate or this or this. Have you seen this? Have you seen the numbers? And we get really excited about it, and
I get it. So we that's all we talk about.
Then our kids now are just like in the conversation. Barrick's not yet, but He'll make himself known. We know one day.
Yeah, he'll burn a couple of your rentals down accidentally.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a wild one. Just have good insurance for him.
Yes.
But
we say that.
like you were saying earlier, the public school system is not teaching.
No.
If we don't teach our kids this, no one's going to, and they're just going to grow up and be consumers just like the masses.
Yep, gluttonous consumption.
It really is. Well, while we're talking about that, so Seth, I know you're actively working towards your real estate license as well. Is that right?
So I've signed up. I've started the class. I haven't gotten too far into it yet, but I am working on it.
Oh, it's a start.
I kind of got distracted with tax deeds a little bit here lately. I've been learning a lot about that. But
there's a lot worse distractions out there than tax deeds.
Right.
Some people find their distraction at the bottom of a bottle or something else. So tax deeds is a pretty good distraction.
I bought a lot of tax deeds down in Florida back in the day when you could bid the interest rate and still get good properties in the 12 to 13% interest rate. In Florida is a little different for people who don't know, where you bid the interest rate when you're buying tax deeds, as long as it's still the same. It's been 10 years since.
And it varies county to county.
Yeah, but my advice is don't get too bogged down in that. It's a good way to make money during certain periods, but there's so much big money out there that's investing in tax deeds that it's hard to compete. And don't get me wrong, we actually have a client who does really well acquiring properties that way. But,
one of our biggest clients.
But he's a great client and he's brilliant and he makes a ton of money with tax deeds. But he's got a big bankroll and he's got a system and people who work for him, and that's what you're up against.
Yeah.
And so it's attractive. I chased that stuff for the early part of my career. It's attractive, but during these competitive times, I believe the value of return on it versus your time spent is very low. I think it would require a ton of your time and a little bit of luck to find big success in it. So that's just my advice for that.
But there's still nothing wrong with taking a few swings at it.
Oh, no, you swing away.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Because you've got not only auctions, but then you have land that has not sold. It's just sitting there. Sometimes you can find deals out there. In spare time, that's something I want to fiddle with a little bit. And
I bought a few sandboxes down there. Yeah. I bought a few sandboxes down there through the tax sales. And you're right. There is some good land that can be had that way. Yeah, I don't mean to discourage you from doing.
I'm not saying I'm throwing everything in on it.
Yeah, that's all. That's what I'm saying. Just don't.
I'm educated.
There you go. And take some swings, like Clint said. You can find some neat stuff, but
I just don't think there's anything wrong with a few calculated swings. And I'm not the tax deed person. You are. I don't claim to be that expert.
I was. I'm 10 years out. We haven't bought a tax deed ourselves for 10 years probably.
Mainly because I just don't have the patience.
Yeah. It's 13 months here for a redemption period, and then you've got to quiet the title, although there's other processes you can do. But anyway.
But one other thing I will say. Go ahead, Seth.
Oh, sorry.
No, you.
But I was going to say, back to the real estate stuff. So my realtor license thing. That's an ongoing process here. So I'm going to get back into that here soon, studying for that. And once I finish that course, that 63-hour course, try and get my license.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
Take it from there, see how that helps me.
Yeah, it's changed a lot since Scotty and I got our license because, you've had yours over 25
years. I got it in 1997.
And I've had mine since 2002. Lot different, lots changed. Nothing was online, back then. We would go sit in a classroom. But the one thing that I've noticed with people around here in the office, because we still have people that go to get their license, don't wait after you pass the class to go take the state exam. As soon as you pass that class, be signed up for that state exam and go. At least with here in the office, we've had people say, oh, well, I'm going to take off a month and really study for the state exam. The reality is There's,
you don't use it, you lose it, right?
Yeah.
There's so much crap information that you will never use again in your real estate career that you're going to forget. Like, I mean, literally, what would you say, 90%? 95% of what you learn is completely, basically useless information.
Yeah, and I put it on par with our education system as far as teaching our kids. It's similar. You graduate from real estate school, or don't graduate. You finish the class, and you don't know how a transaction even works still.
Never seen a purchase agreement.
But you know what a quorum is for the board of realtors. It's like the most useless information that isn't applicable. So yeah, you want all that useless information you've learned from that class fresh in your mind and go take that exam.
Yeah, because I was doing the practice test on this last chapter and I couldn't pass it. There were just too many acronyms to memorize.
Correct.
And then at the end, the class, this online class, they're like, more than likely, you will never need any of this, but it could be on the test, so you need to know.
Right.
Correct.
Like, I just wasted an hour.
I know, it's crazy.
But you know, go through it. I'd give it the effort. You're going to learn a lot of useless information. Put it in your brain. Pass that test. Let it go out of your brain, and then get. I believe Clint and I both believe strongly that being a licensed professional it helps launch you in what you're doing. There is all kinds of different opportunities that will come up because of that. And there's a lot of savings that can be had too once you're licensed, you know.
That's what Katie's told me. Yeah.
Well, Katie, I also have written down here that you're going for your CPA degree.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about that. Without putting Scotty to sleep.
I know. So there were just so many tax benefits that with real estate, with a lot of things in this world, and I just didn't have my grasp on it like I wanted to. He said he would do real estate school, so I said, of course, yes, I'll do the CPA side of it.
I think it's awesome.
And it's very hard. It's very, taxing, pun intended, but I'm really excited.
Good.
Everything that I've learned so far is only helping me beyond and over and beyond to make good life decisions to buy properties. Where are we going to buy them? What's the tax implications on this? How can we, keep rolling this around? So I really like it. And hopefully in January it'll be done.
Yeah.
I flunked out of accounting at Indiana University.
You did.
I sure
Well,
did.
I thought I heard that.
He didn't really flunk out. He just didn't do well.
Well, it was the 200 level accounting course. I got behind. I couldn't get caught back up.
A201 and 202?
A201. Yep. I flunked it.
Oh, that's right. You did have to retake it.
I had to stay up there that summer and retake it.
Yeah,
I flunked it. But, that was just because I was an idiot. But,
You were studying beer that semester.
I was studying beer that semester. It was good.
That's fair enough.
It was a good year. It was all like Busch Light and Milwaukee's Best. It was a really good beer too.
Good night.
Put your time in.
But I've said it a lot. Like, if I could go back and redo college, I would have been serious about accounting. Like, I would have, because you can do everything with an accounting degree, and it's so important. Like, we have a CPA that works here full time,
Right.
in our office, and she does very well, and we have to have her.
We have two CPAs.
We do.
I
We
don't
have
want to
two.
short
We have,
Nancy.
Yeah, we have
We have two CPAs.
we have two CPAs. But anyhow, it's. I think it's great, and I think it's going to be very useful in your real estate career. I think it's going to be useful in your life period.
Right.
And I believe in having your real estate license, as well. I mean, obviously, I've had mine my entire adult life, as Scotty, has as well. So I think you guys are, getting really, really solid educations that are going to help you out down the road.
Yeah, you're building your own little empire here. A team of two empire with the family that you're passing that information along to and teaching the kids. It's neat.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
we
I have a
really
lot of
love it.
respect for what you guys are building. It's neat. I'm so excited to be able to watch the journey myself and have a front row seat, much less be able to share it with our listeners and followers. So, you guys are off to an awesome start. You've got an awesome start. You're both making some really good decisions. You're putting in some really hard work. I know it would be easier to sit around and drink beer and, swim in your pool at your dream home, but instead you're learning this stuff.
That was my 20s.
Yeah. Yeah. But instead you're learning this stuff. You're renting out your dream home so that you can acquire more. You're doing some neat stuff. And
you should see date night. Date night is like, my little office is crammed right next to our bed, baby. And, we'll get like a couple of brews.
He knows. Yeah.
We'll get a couple of brews and he's like, look at this. And look at this. And like, we're just basically teaching each other what we saw that day. And we love it. That's what we love.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like a great date night. So, but I think it's important for people to realize that you're still making sacrifices, like I said.
Oh, yeah.
It's just different than... There's sacrifices to build what you guys are building. They moved out of their dream home and turned it into a rental. They are spending a lot of their time, money, and effort on educating themselves so that they can build this little family empire. So there's sacrifices in there. But at the same time, you guys are making it fun. You're enjoying it. Yeah. It doesn't have to be awful sacrifices.
No.
No. There's folks who we advise. There's this book, The Millionaire Next Door, and one of the interesting lessons in there is of someone who gets a second job and saves all of that money, and by the time they retire, all of that extra money they didn't spend from that second job as a millionaire. There's a lot of folks who, to start in their real estate, that's their only option. It's to go drive an Uber, save all of that money, put it into a rental. You guys found an awesome shortcut, but there still is sacrifices that you guys are making and working on.
It's not all rainbows and butterflies, but you don't give up.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's so true.
And it's worth it. It's worth it.
So where I know that you guys are, closing in Arkansas soon. That's exciting. What else is going on? Where are you guys looking at next? What are the next steps?
We've, I actually had a really great townhouse right in Osceola, Arkansas as well.
Is that the same hometown or the same town as this house? Okay.
Yes. And I let it slip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it happens.
It happens.
Yeah. You're going to miss a lot of properties.
Yeah.
Get used to that.
So that's what that happened.
Yeah.
And
we've talked a little bit about, I didn't mean to interrupt you, honey.
Oh, no.
I'm not leading into this, but we've talked a little bit about, RV camps too.
Oh, yeah.
Also, possibly.
When we were, traveling around,
into that.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
I would have to call, and these RV places, no spots. Yeah. No spots. And
we're hearing that.
They have to be
We're building a storage place right now for RVs.
We are.
I'm telling you.
It's just a storage. We have some land. And
so many people rushed into RVing, through COVID, and now the parks are full, and there's no, here, you have to store them, winterize and store them, and there's no place to store them. Our office just north of here where our maintenance crews are at, we've got a huge lot. We're looking into creating RV storage. So we're with you.
Yeah, we don't know
I was surprised how many, it's not an overwhelming amount, but it's still more than I expected. People just sold their home and just live in a camper.
We just had a Zoom call with some folks who we work with who sold their home and they live in a camper all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a lot more out there than you think.
And Todd Huff, a friend of ours, he's a radio personality guy. And because he's on the radio across the country, he can kind of live anywhere. But he sold his house. Yeah, we know a couple of people who've done that. That's so wild.
It's sweeping the country. I've watched a show on
Yeah.
Destination Network on cable that talks about people, going all in on the RV. I think it's called RV Nation.
Don't
quote me on that.
Nope. Never again.
Yeah.
If I ever have to live in one.
No.
I want to facilitate it for them to live in, but I was so happy to see that thing go.
Look, 9 months in California
with a newborn.
She was probably wanted to kill me more than once. So.
Yeah.
Your 2-year-old would have it ripped apart, right?
Oh my gosh, it was hell.
Yeah.
and they built them very, very luxuriously, but no, too small.
Yeah.
That is a small quarter.
It is. And I say that jokingly about your 2-year-old because we had a few laughs before we came on. I've got a 3-year-old that's just, live wire.
I mean, they really are.
Mm-hmm.
they're just menaces to society. And it's us. We're the society.
But everyone says, "Oh, soak it all in." Yeah. Just soak it all in. Just like, oh my gosh.
I'm like, what part of the bark
crap
do you
on my
want
couch?
Me to, yeah, what do you want me to soak in?
Soak that in. Good gosh.
I love it when they come in the office because I'll feed them sugar. I've got all kinds of candy here. I'll feed them sugar.
Uncle Scott.
I will get them running full speed and then send them on with him.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
You're the fun uncle.
That's right. He is. He is.
Yeah.
Get some all kinds of Nerf gun toys and stuff, that'll really
bow and arrows.
Just
the worst gifts you can get kids.
Oh.
If I see it, I immediately buy it.
Get it. We try to do that with, my niece and stuff like that. If it's a drum set, she's getting it. You know?
For sure. The louder, the better.
But then, he reciprocates.
It always comes back on us.
Yeah, it comes back on us really bad.
My kids are getting the drum set either way.
Yeah, he's a drummer.
So that's going to be in the house.
That's awesome, though.
I love it.
I did not know.
Yeah. I'm on the.
Yeah, I think it's great to encourage music.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
I'm on the worship team at our church.
Okay.
I play drums at church, so it's.
He's a rock star.
Keeping the dream alive.
There you go. I love it.
Well, guys, we've really enjoyed having you guys on the show. We really appreciate you coming in, and Seth, we're very gracious that you joined us today as well. And we know that I wrote down coordinating 7,000 trucks, linemen down in Florida for.
And it wasn't just me. It was.
I know that was the total,
group,
but I saw the pictures on the news with them all lined up, and it really, really takes a lot of people to do that. And what you're doing is very necessary, and good for you, and thank you.
Yeah.
But
they set that up for like 1,600 to 2,000, almost 7,000. So it got real crazy real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
thanks for doing it.
Yes, thank you, and thanks for coming in. I've really enjoyed it. I know Scotty's really enjoyed it. Yep. We're going to be following your real estate journey. We're going to be documenting your real estate journey.
I know.
But thanks for coming in again. We really
appreciate it too.
Oh, absolutely.
I know.
Well, that's our show for this week. We thank you and for kicking it with the Homeboys. We thank Katie and Seth Wood for coming in. How exciting is that? They're getting off of the couch. They're moving towards real estate dreams. They're actually making it happen. So many people, it's all about taking that first step. Get in the game. You can do it. They're doing it. It's awesome. Yep. Stay tuned with the Homeboys. Till next time, happy investing.